everybody, Dandelion Princess here, and welcome back to Imp Headquarters. It is that time once again to take a look at the newest Helluva Boss episode. Today I'm going to be reviewing Season 2, Episode 5, Unhappy Campers. Now, going into this episode, I really didn't know what to expect. All that I really knew is that this was the episode Blitz's sister, Barbie Wire, would make her first appearance. This episode actually had a lot more focus on Moxie and Millie than I would have thought, but I honestly really liked that. This episode did an amazing job of displaying both the strengths and weaknesses of Eminem as a couple and Moxie and Millie as characters. We see Moxie's insecurities bubble up to the surface as they have before in the series. A lot of people said Moxie was very toxic in this episode and a little out of character, but I just do not stand by that whatsoever. I think Moxie was perfectly in character this episode. Again, the insecurities that he showed in this episode have been displayed previously. I'll talk about this a little more in my Moxie analysis video that is coming relatively soon. But Moxie's needing to prove himself is literally his greatest weakness and will blind him to everything else. On Millie's end, because of her upbringing, I long suspected that she never really felt important or noticed by her parents and other siblings, and often overcompensates by trying to please everyone around her. Basically, this was something that I could tell was being set up since the Harvest Moon Festival. Both Moxie and Millie are very different, so it only makes sense that they're not always going to be on the same page. Again, I feel like this is something that was set up from the beginning of the series. Even just the fact that Millie grew up with a lot of siblings and Moxie was an only child perfectly kind of explains why they both act the way they do in this episode. I do appreciate, though, that their argument wasn't like blown out of proportion or super drawn out or anything. Millie simply put things in perspective for Moxie, which is definitely something Moxie needs when his insecurities start to take over. And immediately once Moxie is brought back to the reality of things, he immediately remedies the situation. That's kind of why I think I'll always love these two's relationship. They don't hold grudges or hold anything over each other, and they are always super quick to forgive. But yeah, I tend to think that people are a little too hard on Moxie considering what his trauma is. Just because he has a better life now and a loving wife doesn't mean his problems and insecurities magically go away. Beyond that, I think the camp itself was very fun. It was definitely a different setting, and I actually really liked it. And hey, for the people who have been missing the episodes that focus on clients and the business, you know, here you go. I thought the songs in this episode were really fun. It was cool to have Millie finally get a full song of her own. Even if it wasn't exactly what I was expecting, it was definitely a fun, goofy song, and honestly, that fits for her. And honestly, even though Moxie's little song was short, there was something about it that was catchy. It's definitely had the earworm effect on me more than the other songs for this episode. I don't really know why, because looking at it, it is pretty basic. I do especially love the visuals for his song. Just seeing Moxie be super unhinged, stepping into the fire and making all the campers think he's a psychopath. I don't know, I just loved the humor of it. This episode also displayed the lyrics on screen for the songs. I think that's a really fun detail because the way they handled the lyrics was really fun. Again, that kind of humor is just right up my alley. But it's also super fitting for this episode in particular since it is a summer camp. I have to really hand it to the background artists for this episode. The animation, as always, was on point for this episode, but the backgrounds in particular stood out to me. You can definitely tell they had a lot of fun with this forest setting, as well as displaying the different rings that Blitz was going to in this episode in his search for his sister. Speaking of Blitz, let's go ahead and talk about his portion of the episode. First off, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that Viv and the team absolutely planned the beginning of this episode to make it look like Blitz was trying to sneak in to visit Stolas at the hospital. And they are very wrong for that. No, but in all seriousness, I loved the vibes that Blitz's portion of the episode had. From the very beginning, the conversation Blitz has with the rehab staff member, it really gave off such a ominous feel to the whole situation. I definitely felt bad for Blitz throughout the whole episode, just seeing him desperately looking for Barbie, even though it is made super clear before we even see her on screen that she wants nothing to do with him. Barbie herself was honestly a very interesting character, even though we didn't get a lot of screen time with her. I think they did a really good job of establishing her. She is definitely very harsh to Blitz, which is definitely hard to watch, especially when Blitz is trying so hard to make amends with her. But considering that she hasn't seen him in years, and the first time she does, not even 5 minutes within seeing him, she basically loses her job. Of course, this isn't Blitz's fault, and it's not even really Moxie's fault either. The point is, it's reinforcing that idea in Blitz's head that he ruins everything. And for Barbie, in her mind, it only reinforces her need to get away from him and the idea that everything bad that has happened to her can be traced back to Blitz. It's also a really sad note though, because knowing she's going back to hell without a job, it is likely she may turn to drugs again and overall just spiral. I honestly think this is how she's going to come back into the story. I think eventually she will go to Blitz for help because she has nowhere else, or he may track her down again to make sure she's okay at some point and maybe see that she does need his help. I'm sure some people are a little bit disappointed that this episode didn't really elaborate on what happened between Barbie and Blitz, but I'm really not too worried about it. Blitz is the main character of the series after all. And though this season has done a lot more of establishing the characters around Blitz, at the end of the day, it's all gonna come back to him. So we'll get that backstory eventually. It could be that it's heavily connected to Fizzerali, so we will get the backstory when we learn more about the backstory of Blitz and Fizzerali. Or it could be when we see Barbie again, like I said, if she is in more dire straits after what happened. Maybe they will actually be able to talk. Either way, I'm fine with the series taking its time. This show has a lot of different plots to juggle, and a lot of different characters that all need focus. All in all, I thought it was a really good introduction to Barbie, and I also really liked her voice actress. I thought she was just really fitting for Barbie, and I definitely can't wait to learn more about Barbie and to see her again. Overall, this episode was super fun. I just love all these characters. I've come to the conclusion that I really don't care what they're doing on screen or how the screen time is really divvied up, because I just like them all. But that's just me. I definitely want to know what you guys thought about this episode. What was your favorite moment? And what did you think of Barbie Wire? Be sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed this video and subscribe for more Helluva Boss content. Thank you guys so much for watching and see you guys next time.